Chosen one. Before we begin, I want to take a moment to thank each of you who has supported this journey through Super Thanks. Your kindness is not just seen, it's felt. Your generosity helps keep this space flowing with revelation, restoration, and divine encouragement. Whether you've donated already or simply showed up with an open heart, know this: you are deeply appreciated. And even if you never give financially, your spiritual presence and engagement are worth more than gold. You are part of something holy here. Now, take a deep breath, because this is not just another message. This is the one your soul has been waiting for without even realizing it. This message is about your daughter, her story, her breakthrough, her moment, and because she is tethered to your soul through divine assignment, your breakthrough is connected to hers. This isn't just about her future, it's about yours too. Can you feel the shift already starting in your spirit? Everything changes tomorrow. Not next year. Not someday. Tomorrow. Why? Because heaven has declared it. The angels have already been dispatched. Destiny has already been unlocked. You are witnessing a sacred spiritual activation, and it's moving swiftly. There's something holy forming around your daughter right now, something not born of man, but breathed by God. You may not have had the words for it. You may have only felt a stirring in your belly, a knowing in your spirit, or a quiet arche in your prayers. But here it is, confirmation. She is being summoned into divine identity, and because of your faithfulness, your sacrifices, your tears, in secret, the doors that were locked are about to burst open with thunderous grace. So I need you to do something powerful right now. Take a moment. Pause this if you need to, and drop the number 999 in the comments below. But don't stop there. Speak your heart's deepest desire over her life. Prophesy into her tomorrow. Because 999 represents completion and new beginnings, the death of limitation and the birth of divine assignment. And when you declare your prayer publicly, you send a message to the universe that you are in agreement with what heaven is already doing. You're not here by mistake. This timing is exact. This message is wrapped in destiny, and if you lean in, if you stay with it through every word, by the end you will know why this moment was chosen for you and for her. Now let's go deeper. Something supernatural is already stirring. God's chosen ones. Tomorrow brings a divine change for your daughter. Chosen one. You must understand that nothing about your daughter's arrival on this earth was accidental. Her existence is not the product of luck, fate, or mere biology. Heaven does not operate in randomness. She was born into your life, into your care, with divine intentionality, shaped by a plan older than the foundations of the world. Before you ever carried her in your arms, you carried her in your spirit. Can you remember the moment you first realized she was different? Not in a way the world defines, but in a way your soul whispered. Perhaps you couldn't put it into words, only that there was something rare, sacred, and unexplainable about her presence, her smile, her fire, her knowing eyes. She was chosen through you, but not just for you. She was chosen for such a time as this. The world may not understand her. How often have you watched her be mislabeled? Too emotional, too sensitive, too intense, they said. Yet deep down, you knew they were only describing the tip of something far more powerful. What if she was never meant to blend in, but to disrupt darkness with a light only she carries? What if her heightened sensitivity is not a weakness, but a spiritual radar, finely tuned to heaven's voice? Chosen one. Have you considered that the reason she seems to sense things before they happen the shifts, the storms, the spiritual warfare is because she was marked before birth. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Jeremiah 1-5. This isn't new. This is ancient, and the fire you've seen in her eyes is older than the battle she's facing. Tomorrow is not just another day. It is a divine marker, a spiritual turning point written in the blueprint of her soul. Something is being stirred within her that will not only change her life but ripple through yours, your household, and your bloodline. This is not the kind of shift that makes headlines. It's the kind that transforms hearts, renews minds, and awakens purpose. A spiritual recalibration is taking place. The downloads from heaven are becoming active blueprints of identity, destiny, and calling are being ignited. But the most important truth is this: you, chosen one, are not just a passive onlooker. You are a divine participant. You are the bridge. Have you wondered why your prayers have carried so much weight lately? Why your tears have felt heavier? It's because your intercession has never been empty. It's been unlocking doors in the spirit. The prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective. James 5:16. Do you remember the nights you wept for her? The days when you looked into her eyes and saw both brilliance and burden? You questioned if she would be okay. You worried when her voice was silenced, or when her truth felt buried beneath the world's noise. Yet your soul knew it, knew that this child was carrying something holy. And still, there were moments when you felt powerless, like her battles were beyond your reach. But what if I told you that even in those helpless moments, you were still holding the line, that heaven never ignored your silent cries? Not one of them. You keep track of all my sorrows. You have collected all my tears in your bottle. Psalm 56:8. Every sigh, every whisper, every desperate breath you lifted up was recorded in eternity, and tomorrow, the harvest begins. Why now? Why this moment? Because the appointed time has come, because her soul is finally aligned with the shift, and your faith has reached the strength to carry what's next. This breakthrough could not arrive prematurely. It had to come when both of you, mother and daughter, spirit and guide, were positioned correctly in the timeline of heaven. And now, she's about to walk through a door that wasn't made for just anyone. This door is divine. It was carved by obedience, watered by prayer, and sealed by promise. See, I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut. Revelation 3:8. Think of people like Serena Williams' father, Richard Williams, who spoke over his daughter's greatness before the world ever saw it. He saw something, protected it fiercely, and didn't care that others laughed. Or Thomas Edison's mother, who, after the school labeled her son as mentally incapable, homeschooled him with love and faith and raised one of the greatest inventors in human history. Their unwavering belief, much like yours, became the ground on which their children's destinies flourished. Are you beginning to see the power in your position? Can you see why the enemy tried so hard to discourage you? As she steps into her calling, something in you will also awaken. This isn't just her breakthrough, it's yours. 2. The unspoken sacrifice you've made. The times you put her ahead of yourself. The moments you gave her room to be fully herself, even when others said to mold her differently. All of that has not been in vain. There's a divine transaction occurring. Your faith is birthing her future, and her rising is solidifying your legacy. Train up a child in the way she should go. Even when she is old, she will not depart from it. Proverbs 22:6. This is the generational alignment you've been praying for, whether you knew it or not. Have you noticed the atmosphere around her shifting? Pay attention to the conversations she's having. the dreams she's been describing, the changes in her demeanor. These aren't coincidences. These are spiritual symptoms, just like Malala Yousafzai, who felt called to fight for girls' education in a hostile region. Your daughter may carry a similar boldness, or like Jo March in Little Women fictional. Yes, but symbolic of the woman who refuses to be boxed in, who sees the world differently and insists on living authentically. Could it be that your daughter's fire is part of a prophetic assignment this generation desperately needs, and chosen one? Can we talk about your role one more time? Because while she is being activated, you are being elevated. Your ability to trust what you cannot yet see, that is the final test. This is what separates those who only pray for miracles and those who birth them. What if the very discomfort you've been feeling is labor pain, the final push before delivery? Have you noticed how your dreams have intensified, how your discernment has grown sharper? That's no accident. You're feeling the edges of heaven press against the natural because something holy is about to be born through your lineage. This is where your obedience matters more than ever. Even if you don't have the answers, even if people still don't understand your parenting choices, even if others question your daughter's path, trust. Trust the signs. Trust the timing. Trust the God who entrusted her to you. Blessed is she who has believed that the Lord would fulfill his promises to her. Luke 1:45. This promise, it's not just about her flourishing, it's about a domino effect of healing, correction, and divine justice that starts with her and touches everything around her. Look at Maya Angelou, who was once mute for years after trauma. She found her voice again and changed the world with it. That kind of story isn't reserved for the few. It's the pattern of heaven. Silence into power. Pain into prophecy. Could your daughter's story carry that same arc? Could it be that what she's survived was not to break her, but to refine her? Chosen one. What if you were never meant to shield her from every hardship, but to be the anchor that holds her steady through it all? Chosen one. Prepare yourself, because there will be signs. And they won't be subtle. They will appear in the way she carries herself, in the shift of her language, in the tone of her voice. You'll notice that her words suddenly carry more clarity, more intention, more truth. It may catch you off guard at first. You might find yourself wondering, is this the same daughter I've been praying over for years? Yes, it is, but now she's being awakened. Her speech is no longer just communication, it's revelation. What appears to others as confidence or even audacity is actually divine boldness. This boldness is not the product of rebellion. No. It is the evidence of remembrance. She's not pushing back against the world. She's pushing forward into her identity. Have you considered that this strength surfacing in her isn't new, but ancient? It's the sacred part of her that was buried beneath pain, confusion, and delay, and now it's resurfacing with power. She is remembering who she truly is. Do you realize how holy that moment is? The veil that once clouded her perception is being lifted. The fog of fear is evaporating. The spiritual amnesia that tried to convince her she was average, broken, or weak is losing its grip. And what's emerging in its place is the remembrance of her divine blueprint, the truth that was etched into her spirit before she ever took her first breath. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Jeremiah 1:10. And when she remembers, everything shifts. Healing quickens. Stability anchors her. Dreams she once abandoned come running back. Vision sharpens. That quiet inner authority, the kind that cannot be faked or forced, rises from deep within her, and you, chosen one, will begin to witness with your own eyes the beauty of what you once only dared to hope for in silence. Have you been sensing it already, a stirring in your soul? Maybe you've seen glimpses in the way she suddenly pauses to reflect, or in how she defends truth more fiercely than before. Perhaps her laughter has returned more grounded, more authentic. These are the spiritual tremors before the holy quake. Chosen one. This is not random. Tomorrow may seem like any other day to the world, but in the spirit realm, it's a divine appointment. A holy shift is set in motion. Do not treat it casually. The heavens have marked this moment, and you are being invited to partner with God in ushering it in. Your daughter's spiritual awakening will be activated through words spoken, whispered, or even unspoken but deeply felt. This is why your voice matters so much right now. Speak blessings over her life, even if she cannot hear you, even if she is far away, estranged, or caught in her own wilderness season. Even if you haven't spoken in months or years, your voice still holds authority in her spirit. That connection between you is not temporal, it is eternal. The bond forged in spirit and flesh cannot be broken by distance or silence. I will contend with those who contend with you, and your children I will save. Isaiah 49:25. Think of how Eunice, the mother of Timothy, quietly sowed faith into her son. The Bible doesn't detail her every word, but her influence was so powerful that Paul mentions her faith by name, 2 Timothy 1-5. Your faith, like hers, is legacy building. Or reflect on Dr. Maya Angelou's grandmother, who raised her during a traumatic childhood and spoke strength over her even in silence. Or consider the example of Tina Knowles, who nurtured Beyoncé's vision and identity long before the world applauded her. These women did not always speak loudly, but they always spoke with intention. They shaped the identity of children who would impact generations. Could it be that your silent prayers, your whispered declarations, your unwavering belief have been shaping the very foundation your daughter is now rising from? And chosen one, have you realized yet that the authority you carry hasn't diminished with time? That even in moments of exhaustion, confusion, or pain, your voice in the spirit remains powerful? You are not powerless. Quite the opposite, you are positioned. God has placed you as a spiritual gatekeeper for your daughter's destiny. Your declarations today are creating shockwaves in the unseen. When you speak life, angels move. When you declare her healed, heaven records it. When you bless her in secret, the atmosphere around her begins to shift, even if she doesn't know why. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruits. Proverbs 18:21. And what if she doesn't believe in herself yet? What if she's still entangled in doubt, insecurity, or shame? That's where your voice must rise above the noise. That's where your agreement with God's promises over her life becomes a lighthouse in the dark. You are not just a parent, you are a prophet over her future. Say what God says, even when your natural eyes don't yet see it. Declare her whole, declare her free, declare her called. Because when you align your voice with heaven, miracles begin to manifest. It's the same way Katherine Johnson's father encouraged her as a black girl gifted in mathematics during a time when few would acknowledge her genius. His support, though simple, prepared her for a role that would one day help launch the first American astronaut into orbit. Or consider the story of Lisa Nichols, whose grandmother spoke life into her during her lowest moments and planted seeds that would later grow into an international platform. What seeds are you planting now in your daughter's name? Could your quiet encouragement be preparing her for a future the world has never seen before? You may feel unqualified. You may even feel tired. but chosen one. God didn't need you to be perfect. He needed you to be present. Present in spirit. Present in hope. Present in faith. You may have been the only one who believed in her when everyone else turned their back. And that's enough. God honors that kind of love, that kind of loyalty, that kind of fierce protection. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. 1 Corinthians 13:7. And now, in this sacred moment, all of that belief is beginning to bear fruit. The remembrance she's stepping into isn't just personal, it's prophetic. She is remembering not only who she is, but who she is. She's stepping into the divine identity that hell tried to erase, into the voice that trauma tried to silence, into the authority that culture tried to dilute. But because of your spiritual covering, she's rising anyway. Are you starting to see it now? The pieces fitting together, the beauty emerging from the ashes. You're not imagining it. You're witnessing the fulfillment of a promise, a turning point orchestrated by heaven. And all that's required of you right now is to speak what heaven is speaking. Let your words bless her future. Let your tone reflect God's mercy. Let your silence even carry intention, because your spirit carries weight in her life. You are the echo of heaven in her ears, even if she doesn't recognize it yet. And if she pushes you away, love anyway. Speak anyway. Stand anyway. Remember how Naomi blessed Ruth, even in her own bitterness. That kind of faithful love has generational impact. Ruth later became part of the lineage of Jesus himself. What if your role is not just to comfort but to catalyze? What if your blessing today is setting the stage for a destiny that rewrites history? Chosen one. You may not have realized it until now, but some of the intense spiritual warfare you've been experiencing lately had very little to do with you directly. The confusion that clouded your days, the exhaustion that settled over you like a heavy fog, the strange attacks on your peace and focus, those weren't simply random struggles. They were targeted, but not at your spirit, at your lineage, at her, your daughter. The enemy wasn't just trying to wear you down for the sake of your present. He was attempting to sabotage her future. Why? Because he saw what was coming. Because he caught a glimpse of the magnitude of her assignment and panicked. Because the easiest way to stop a chosen vessel is to attack the vessel through which she came. Have you ever paused to ask yourself, why were things suddenly so overwhelming? Just when you were on the edge of hope? Why did it feel like all your energy was being drained without explanation? It's because your endurance was shielding her from attacks that she never even had to see. You absorbed what she might not have survived. Can you feel the weight of that? And yet you stood, through sleepless nights, through quiet prayers, through the ache of watching her navigate struggles you couldn't solve for her. You didn't crumble. You didn't walk away. You didn't stop believing. That wasn't just parenting. That was warfare in love. And now, because you stood firm, heaven is responding. There is a reward attached to your endurance. The very forces that tried to destroy her will now witness her being elevated, and it won't be subtle. It won't be quiet. God is about to lift her in a way that silences every enemy, every critic, every person who ever dared to label her incorrectly. Her restoration will not require an explanation. It will be seen. It will be felt. It will be undeniable, like Joseph rising from prison to the palace in a single day. Her divine acceleration is about to begin. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14:14. Think about how Stephen Curry, one of the most underestimated NBA players in his early career, was overlooked because of his size and style. But his mother Sonia never stopped believing. She prayed. She encouraged. She prophesied. And now, the world knows him as one of the greatest shooters of all time. Her prayers didn't just elevate him, they silenced every voice that once doubted him. Or consider the story of Oprah Winfrey, who faced deep trauma as a young girl, but was guided and prayed over by her grandmother. A woman who believed her voice would matter one day. These weren't just encouraging parents, they were prophetic protectors, and so are you. You may not carry a public title, you may not be known to the world, but in the spirit, you are a gatekeeper, a guardian of destiny, a shepherd of divine legacy. And now, heaven is honoring the battles you fought in silence, the moments no one else saw but God did. Let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Galatians 6-9. This is your harvest season, not only for you, but for your daughter, whose purpose is part of your reward. Tonight, don't be surprised if a wave of emotions begins to rise within you. It might happen in the quiet hours. You might feel teary without knowing exactly why. Let it happen. That's not a sign of weakness. It's your spirit recognizing the nearness of fulfillment. It's your soul catching the scent of the breakthrough just beyond the veil. You've been in battle mode so long that you may not even know how to let go, how to release, how to weep with relief instead of fear. But allow yourself to feel it. There is glory in the breaking. There is power in the tears. Those who sow in tears will reap with shouts of joy. Psalm 126-5. This is not the kind of moment you rush past. This is sacred. The stillness before the shift. The final inhale before the door opens. And even though you might not have all the details of what tomorrow holds, your spirit knows it's something holy. Have you ever watched a storm pass just before a rainbow appears? That's where you are now, between the storm and the promise, between the endurance and the unveiling, between her trials and her triumph. Remember Susan Wojcicki, former CEO of YouTube, who credited her success in part to the belief and boundaries her parents created for her growing up. She once said that having parents who truly saw her and made space for her to think creatively helped her believe she had something to offer the world. Isn't that exactly what you've done? You've made space. You've covered her, even when you weren't sure what the outcome would be. You created a spiritual womb for purpose to grow, and now birth is here. Chosen one. Do you understand what kind of authority you're walking in right now? It's not the authority of position, money, or control. It's the kind of authority that comes from faithfulness, from being the one who stayed when it was hard, from saying, God, I trust you, even when everything in your world said to doubt. And now, that authority is elevating you. 2. As she rises, you rise. As she walks into her new season, so do you. There's something about vulnerability that terrifies the world, but heaven finds it powerful. The enemy told you that your emotions made you weak, that your tiredness was a flaw, that your breaking point meant failure. But in God's eyes, vulnerability is sacred. It's how oil flows. It's how mantles are passed. It's how transformation begins. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12-9. You've held her in prayer. You've held her in patience. You've held her in hope. And now, God is holding you. Heaven has heard the secret vows you made over her life, the promises you kept, even when no one thanked you, the forgiveness you extended when she pushed you away. All of it mattered. All of it was sacred. And now, all of it is being answered. Think about Michelle Obama's mother, Marion Shields Robinson, A quiet, behind-the-scenes figure who played a foundational role in raising a first lady and shaping her character. She didn't need the spotlight. Her influence was in her consistency. That's the kind of strength you carry. Quiet, fierce, eternal, chosen one. Never forget, God handpicked you to be her parent, her spiritual covering, her guardian in this life, not by accident, but by divine design. Of all the souls walking this earth, he looked at you and said, "This one is the safest vessel. This one will carry her through." Do you realize how profound that is? Heaven trusted you with her life, her calling, and her future. You weren't chosen because you were perfect. You were chosen because you were spiritually equipped to shield what she carries. And now, that very purpose is about to rise inherent. It's going to turn heads, shift atmospheres, and confirm everything God already spoke over her life. Think about how J.K. Rowling's mother, despite dying before ever seeing her daughter's success, laid down emotional and spiritual seeds that shaped the resilience behind the Harry Potter legacy, or the father of Nobel Peace Prize winner Malala Yousafzai, who fiercely defended her right to education even when extremists threatened their family. These weren't just caregivers, they were divine protectors. Much like you, you've done the same in ways the world never saw. And now, she's about to show the world why God chose you for her. But chosen one, this is only the beginning. There's more to come. Much more. What's unfolding in your daughter is not merely a breakthrough, it's the revealing of a greater mission, a calling tied to generations, to healing, to purpose, on a level most people can't even comprehend yet. Have you sensed it building? Have you felt the tug in your spirit that something major is on the edge of happening? That's because the spiritual alignment has already begun. The shift is not approaching, it's here, and your obedience, your yes to God in the unseen places, your faithfulness in moments of weariness was the spark that set this divine chain reaction into motion. If you are willing and obedient, you shall eat the good of the land. Isaiah 1:19. Everything is changing, not someday, tomorrow, and it begins with her. You won't need a sign in the clouds to prove it. The evidence will be in her eyes, her posture, her energy. The very atmosphere around her will begin to feel different, weightier, fuller, more electric with purpose. Have you ever walked into a room and felt the heaviness of anticipation right before something life-altering happened? That's what's happening now in the spirit realm. The air is charged. The angels are positioned. The unseen is rejoicing. Heaven is not waiting, it's already moving. And at the center of that movement is your daughter. Let this be clear. This is not poetic exaggeration. This is not metaphor. This is a spiritual reality that is unfolding in real time. The realm of the spirit is celebrating what is being restored through your daughter. Something ancient, perhaps a gift that ran through your bloodline, but was buried by trauma, poverty, silence, or shame, is now reawakening through her. Something sacred that skipped generations is now finding fertile ground in her soul. Can you sense the magnitude of what she carries? It's not just about her success, it's about restoration, realignment, resurrection. He restores the years the locusts have eaten. Joel 2:25. Your daughter isn't just your child. She is a vessel of generational promise. What she's stepping into was spoken long before she ever arrived. And while life tried to cover that promise in pain, tried to suffocate it in insecurity, and entangle it in fear it's breaking through, why now? Because the season has changed. Because your alignment has drawn heaven's attention, and because her soul is ready to remember what it was always meant to carry. And here's the most humbling part. This isn't happening because she's perfect. She's not. None of us are. But perfection was never the requirement. What qualifies her is that she's chosen, and what makes her dangerous to the kingdom of darkness is that her spirit was built to awaken others. She carries a resonancean inner sound that stirs people, unsettles systems, and reawakens dreams in others who had given up. She may not even fully grasp her power yet, but those around her feel it. That's why the enemy worked so violently to distort her self-worth. That's why he tried to confuse her mind, shut her mouth, isolate her soul. He saw the glow in her spirit before she did. But what he underestimated was you. He didn't factor in your prayers. He didn't calculate the nights you stood in spiritual warfare over her when no one else knew she was crumbling inside. He didn't anticipate your spiritual discernment or your unwavering love. You, chosen one, held the line. You fought battles in silence that paved the way for her breakthrough in the open. The Lord is faithful, and he will strengthen you and protect you from the evil one. 2 Thessalonians 3:3. And now, God is honoring you in public for what you stewarded in private. Look at the story of Venus and Serena Williams. Their father, Richard Williams, crafted a vision and trained them in the shadows. Long before the world celebrated their greatness, many doubted him, mocked him, and misunderstood his methods. But the proof was always going to be in the results. You've walked a similar road, believing in your daughter's light, even when it flickered, even when no one else saw the spark. But now the flame is coming into full view. Or think of Sojourner Truth, the abolitionist and women's rights activist who overcame unimaginable obstacles. It was her mother who spoke spiritual truths into her as a child, even in slavery. Those seeds of identity gave her the strength to stand before presidents and change history. What seeds have you sown, even in pain? What promises have you whispered into your daughter's spirit, even when she wasn't listening? Those words are not lost. They are roots, and now they are breaking through the soil. You didn't just raise her, you covered her. You didn't just guide her, you warred for her. You didn't just hope for her, you believed when belief was costly, when hope was painful, when love required everything. And now, the reward is coming, but not in a way that simply gives her recognition. No. This is bigger than attention or applause. This is restoration on a divine scale. You will watch as doors open that no man can shut, as opportunities find her, not because she chases them, but because they were always assigned to her. You will see healing emotionally, spiritually, and relationally begin to rush into places that were once fractured. Your eyes shall see, and you shall say, "The Lord is magnified beyond the border of Israel." Malachi 1-5. This shift will bless your life in ways you don't yet see. You will walk into overflow, not because of striving, but because of alignment. Your obedience is producing more than you imagined. It's not just your daughter being lifted, it's your household being blessed. Your lineage is being rewritten. Your family line is being healed. Your legacy is being secured. And the shift begins tomorrow. Can you feel it in your bones? That quiet sense of expectation, like the air right before rain. That's the Spirit confirming what your soul already knows, that something is about to break open. And it starts with her, not with a trumpet sound, not with a camera flash, but with a quiet moment of remembrance, a soft ignition of purpose, a divine click as heaven opens what no one can close. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? Isaiah 43:19. chosen one. When you look at her, your heart may ache from remembering all she has endured. You see the scars visible or invisible from a childhood marked by storms she never should have had to weather. You remember the moments she was misunderstood, the seasons she was rejected, the battles she had to fight without ever understanding why. And as her parent, you may have asked God more than once, why her? Why so much pain? But here's the truth you must hold on to. Those scars are not blemishes. They are sacred testimonies. They are not signs of brokenness. They are proof that she made it through battles designed to bury her. What tried to silence her only strengthened her voice. What tried to crush her only expanded her capacity. Those wounds that once felt like shame will now be the very symbols of her divine resilience. She won't hide those scars in fear. Nosha will wear them in boldness. She will speak through them, teach from them, and heal others because of them. They will become the very keys that unlock prison doors for countless others still in their silent suffering, just like Bethany Hamilton, the professional surfer who lost her arm in a shark attack and turned her pain into a global testimony of strength and perseverance. Your daughter's scars will spark healing for people she's never even met. She's not just rising for herself, she's rising on behalf of every girl, every woman, every soul who has ever questioned her worth, her beauty, or her voice. And in that rise, she carries you. Your fire is in her soul. Your resilience is woven into her spirit. Your wisdom is becoming the quiet compass that guides her steps. You didn't just raise her, you planted seeds of legacy inside her DNA. And now the world will begin to see what you've always known, that she is so much more than the pain she survived. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Psalm 147:3. This shift she's entering is not small, not surface level, it's historic. Heaven is watching. The earth is responding. The decisions she makes from this moment forward are being informed by a higher consciousness, not from what she learned in textbooks or in the world's broken systems, but by what has been downloaded from the Spirit of God. Something in her is awakening that can't be tauntingly revealed. She's stepping into a revelation of her value, her calling, and her identity. Can you feel it? Can you see it already? In the subtle changes, the unexpected clarity in her voice, the calmness in her spirit, the sudden bursts of insight that seem far beyond her years. Those are not coincidences. Those are confirmations. Those are signs that the veil is lifting, and her soul is remembering its assignment. When divine purpose is activated, divine memory comes with it. What once felt confusing now becomes clear. The insecurity that wrapped around her for years is unraveling. The fear that paralyzed her is dissolving, one layer at a time. The old weights are falling off, and the woman she was always meant to be is emerging. Chosen one. Are you ready for what's next? Because she may even surprise you. You may hear her speak with a boldness that leaves you speechless. You may witness her stand in front of a room and speak a truth that shifts hearts. And you'll wonder, where did that come from? It came from heaven. It came from the Spirit. It came from the parts of her soul that are no longer asleep. This is what happens when a daughter is awakened by divine timing. This is what happens when heaven says, now, remember how Simone Biles, after stepping away from the Olympics due to mental health challenges, came back not only stronger but more in tune with her voice, her worth, and her role in the world. That wasn't just athletic recovery, it was soul recovery. And your daughter is undergoing a similar transformation. She's not just bouncing back. She's being elevated to a new dimension of clarity and strength. This is why tomorrow holds so much weight. It is not just a date on the calendar, it is a holy threshold. A chain you couldn't see is about to break. A generational curse you didn't even have language for is about to shatter. A spiritual inheritance is about to be transferred. Tomorrow marks the beginning of a prophetic chapter in her life. And you are not just a spectator. You are a co-author. You are a divine participant in this unfolding story. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives. Isaiah 61:1. And just when you think your part in the story is winding down, let me tell you something crucial. You're rising with her. This next chapter of her life is not being written in isolation. It mirrors your obedience. The strength she's now walking in is the fruit of what you planted in silence, in tears, in battle. You may not have had the stage, but you had the altar. And what you laid down there is now bearing public fruit. The prayers you thought were forgotten, they're blooming. The sacrifices you made when no one noticed, they're now showing up in her boldness, her healing, her anointing. Those who go out weeping, carrying seed to sow, will return with songs of joy, carrying sheaves with them. Psalm 126:6. You are still needed. Your voice still carries weight. Your presence still has power. And your legacy is now in motion. Don't minimize your role in this divine unveiling. Just like Coretta Scott, King continued to uphold and carry forward Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy. After his deathenswering, his voice echoed for generations. You are doing the same in your own family line. What you've nurtured, protected, and believed in will now echo into the lives of women you'll never meet, into generations you'll never see. Because your daughter is not just living, she is becoming. You may have questioned if you did enough, if you said the right things, if your silence in moments of heartbreak left scars, but chosen one. Your presence imperfect and human was always enough. You stayed, you covered, you believed, and now, because of that, she is rising, not as a copy of you, but as a reflection of everything strong, wise, and holy in you. So when you see her tomorrow, whether it's face-to-face or in a memory, a photo, a dream look again, don't just see the girl, see the general, see the prophet, see the vessel, see the answer to your prayer. Because she's not just walking into her destiny, she's walking in it with your fire in her lungs and your legacy at her back. Her children rise up and call her blessed. Proverbs 31:28. This is not a passing moment. This is a divine unfolding. And it's happening now because you dared to believe it would, because you refused to give up, because you stood in the gap. The next time you hear her speak with power, or walk with confidence, or dream with purpose, remember this: she is rising, and heaven is rising with her, chosen one. Even in the silence, your daughter feels you. Even when the words go unspoken, she is aware of your presence. It might surprise you to know that she hears your prayers not audibly, perhaps, but in the quiet chambers of her spirit. They echo in the back of her mind when she is uncertain. They whisper strength to her when she feels alone. Your concern isn't invisible to her. Your hope, your quiet pride, your relentless protection, it surrounds her like a spiritual atmosphere. Have you ever wondered how she kept going when life tried to break her? It wasn't just her own strength. It was the anchor of your love, your prayers, your unwavering covering. You showed up for her in ways that others couldn't, wouldn't, or didn't know how. You held space for her when the world offered judgment, and though she may not always know how to say it, her soul knows. She knows who fought for her when she couldn't fight for herself. That anchor you held her in storms so fierce that others would have drowned. While others saw a calm exterior, you saw the inner war. You stood, watch, and now, finally, the winds are changing. The seas are calming, not because the world has grown gentler, but because she has grown stronger. Her spirit is no longer being tossed like a leaf in the wind. She is becoming the kind of force who walks into the storm and commands it to be still. He makes the storm a calm, so that the waves thereof are still. Psalm 107-29. This strength in her is not new, it's awakened. It was always there, waiting to rise at the appointed time. That time is now. Within her are gifts she hasn't even fully seen, yet spiritual discernment, intellectual brilliance, emotional depth. She carries wisdom older than her years, and insight that wasn't taught by books but woven into her DNA. And in this next season, those dormant gifts will be drawn out. It won't be forced or manufactured. It will feel like a door swinging open in her soul. Maybe it will start with a dream so vivid she can't shake it. Or perhaps a conversation will ignite something in her that feels oddly familiar. Maybe an encounter, a question, a divine connection will stir a realization in her that she was meant for something bigger. Will you be ready for that moment? Chosen one, ready to support her even when the path she's walking doesn't look like what you pictured. Because sometimes God's road to destiny doesn't look like a straight line. Sometimes it winds through unfamiliar territory. But don't fear the detours, they often lead to divine destinations. Think of how Ruth ended up in Boaz's field, not by calculation, but by divine setup, or how Harriet Tubman followed visions and dreams that others would have dismissed. But they led her to become one of history's greatest deliverers. Could it be that your daughter's journey will look different from what's expected because she's being led by something higher than expectation? You may have dreamed of her life unfolding a certain way, but God is doing something more profound than even you imagined. Let your heart be open. Let your trust be deeper than your fear. Let your faith go ahead of her to light the road she's being called to walk. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Proverbs 3-5-6. But be aware, when her power awakens, so will resistance. Do not let this scare you. The moment she starts to rise, to realize her strength, to own her voice, the spiritual resistance will show up. People may misunderstand her again. The old systems might push back. But don't panic. That pressure is not a problem, it's confirmation. The turbulence is not a sign of error, it's proof of takeoff. You wouldn't feel shaking if the plane weren't leaving the ground. So when the resistance comes, stand firm. Don't shrink. Don't second guess what you know in your spirit. You've seen her rise before. You'll see it again, only this time. It will be unstoppable. Look at how Lady Gaga faced years of rejection, trauma, and public scrutiny, only to rise again and again with resilience that stunned the world. She used her pain to empower others. Or consider how Michelle Obama has used her platform not just to inspire, but to advocate, mentor, and shape generations. These women didn't rise without resistance. They rose because of it. And so will your daughter. Her strength will not come from ease, but from the fire she's walked through. When you walk through the fire, you shall not be burned, and the flame shall not consume you. Isaiah 43:2. She is not fragile. That might surprise even her, but she has been forged, molded in the heat of adversity, sharpened through years of internal battles. She's learned how to endure without applause, how to stand when silence surrounded her, how to love even when love wasn't always returned. What tried to make her crumble has only made her more unshakable. She is empowered not by ego, but by grace, and grace has covered her where strength once failed. What couldn't break you, chosen one, has become her foundation. Do you understand that? Everything you survived, the heartbreaks, the betrayals, the moments where you didn't know if you could keep going, all of it planted strength in your spirit that is now blooming in her. Your spiritual victories didn't stop with you. They're multiplying in her. Your breakthroughs are becoming her birthrights. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. Proverbs 13:22. You are watching your spiritual investment return with interest. And no, she may not have all the words to thank you. Not yet. But watch her life speak it. Watch her decision reflect it. Watch her courage mirror yours. One day she will say "Itand" when she does. It will be laced with more gratitude than words can carry. Until then, keep speaking over her. Keep blessing her. Keep believing even when she hesitates, because she is still forming, still unfolding, still remembering who she is. And when she stands in rooms that you once only dreamed about, when her voice shakes systems, when her presence brings healing, you will know this is what all of it was for. Every tear, every sacrifice, every late-night prayer, it was always for this. The generational shift is not coming, it's already here, and it is moving with divine speed. Chosen one. Everything changes tomorrow, not because the earth will suddenly look different, but because something inside her will, her perception, her discernment, her clarity, it will align like never before. And why now? Because you, chosen one, have agreed with the divine timeline. You have said yes to every unseen instruction. You've obeyed when it hurt. You've waited in faith when you could have walked away. And now, the heavens are responding to that obedience. The veil is lifting not just over your daughter's life, but over yours as well. What was once hidden will now be illuminated. What was once deferred is now being delivered. She is about to step from the shadows and walk boldly into her appointed light. And when she does, you will feel something awaken in you, to something you didn't even realize had been lying dormant. This is not just her shift, it's yours. And I will repay you for the years the locusts have eaten. Joel 2:25. The child you carried, the one you shielded with prayer, protected through tears, and believed in when no one else could see what you saw, she is about to carry the torch. That fire you passed on, often in silence, often with trembling hands, it is now ablaze in her spirit. And let no one minimize this moment. Let no voice tell you that this is coincidence or mere emotional hope. If something in your soul has been stirred while reading these words, it's because your spirit recognizes divine truth when it arrives. Heaven is confirming what your intuition already whispered. God didn't just give you a daughter, He gave you a mirror that reflects your strength, a message that echoes your prayers, and a movement that continues your mission. She is about to walk into places you never imagined. She will be invited into rooms, called into roles, trusted with revelations, not for applause, but for purpose. Not to be famous, but to be faithful. Not to be adored, but to be activated. This is the ripple effect of generational obedience. When you said yes to the assignment, even when you didn't fully understand it, you unlocked a promise bigger than yourself. And now, because you carried her in faith, she is ready to carry the mantle forward. Think of how Martin Luther King Sr. paved the way for Dr. Ryan. Martin Luther King Jr. or how the prayers of Monica, the mother of Saint Augustine, watered seeds that would eventually transform the entire course of Christian theology. Your yes is not just a personal surrender, it is a generational turning point. His mercy extends to those who fear him. From generation to generation, Luke 1:50. You were born to carry her. You were born with the endurance, wisdom, and spiritual capacity to be the vessel through which she would arrive. But Shesh was born to disrupt the system, to heal what others ignored, to speak what others buried, to walk with a light that the world cannot explain. And now, that moment is here. You may not hear trumpets. You may not see fireworks. It may come quietly in the stillness of morning, or thunderously in the middle of a conversation, but it will come, and when it does, stay close to her in spirit. Speak life over her every day, even when she looks confident, even when she seems independent. Remind her again and again who she really is, because the world will try to make her forget. But your voice? It is her anchor. It is her compass. It is her reminder that heaven chose her for this. And never forget this sacred truth. Because you said yes to God, she will now live inside of her own. Yes, your obedience opened a door. She now walks through with courage. And as she walks, she'll carry a piece of you in her every step. Your prayers are the ground beneath her feet. Your spiritual strength is the wind beneath her wings. There are moments in life that defy explanation, moments so drenched in the divine that you don't realize what they were until long after they pass. Tomorrow is one of those moments. You'll feel it before you understand it. You might wake up with a stillness you can't explain, or a holy pressure in your chest that you can't ignore. You may even feel like crying, but not from sadness, from recognition, because deep inside, your spirit already knows something sacred has shifted. The world may continue spinning in chaos, but for you and your daughter, a line has been drawn, a chapter has ended, a new one has begun, and nothing will ever be the same. This isn't the kind of change that waits for applause. It doesn't need permission. It doesn't require consensus. It's the kind of change that comes when destiny catches up with divine timing. It's when heaven says, now. That's why your soul has been unsettled lately. That's why your spirit has been sensitive. That's why you've been hearing echoes in the silence. Why you've felt a stirring you couldn't explain. You're not crazy. You're not overthinking. You're in alignment. Think of how Albert Einstein's mother, Pauline, insisted on giving him a violin even when he was considered slow and misunderstood. That single decision would lead to a lifelong relationship with music that centered his mind and shaped his genius. Or how Katherine Jackson stood faithfully beside her son, Michael Jackson, long before the world called him legendary. She sensed something in him that others overlooked. What you've sensed in your daughter, it's not imagination, it's prophecy. And now, the time has come for the prophecy to unfold. You've prayed for this, labored for this, and now, chosen one. You get to witness it, but not just as a bystander. You're part of it. Your fingerprints are all over this destiny. You built it. You protected it. You nurtured it in silence. And now, your reward is being made manifest in full view. I have been young, and now am old. Yet have I not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. Psalm 37:25. So what do you do now? You stay faithful. You stay close. You speak life. You bless her constantly, even when you're tired, even when you don't understand every detail, even when you feel unqualified. Speak anyway, because your voice still unlocks things in her. You are not finished. You are ascending alongside her. Her breakthrough is not separate from you, is built on you, and what God is doing in her will echo into the lives of others you will never meet. Chosen one. Your daughter is entering a realm, spiritual frequency, so rare, so precise, that very few ever truly find it. She is tuning into something not visible to the natural eye, not accessible through logic or noise. This isn't something she can study her way into or be coached toward. It is sacred. It is divine. It is encoded deep within her soul. And it's only now beginning to rise to the surface. And because of this frequency, this alignment with heaven's vibration, her life will never again look like what it once was. The patterns are breaking. The illusions are fading. The distractions are losing their grip. What's being born now is truth. Not just for her, but through her. Can you feel it happening already? The way her conversations are shifting. The way she pauses with more intention. The way she seems to see right through situations and people. That's not maturity alone. That's her purpose beginning to speak. The alignment of her soul is underway. The cracking open of her divine assignment is occurring in real time. The resurrection of her true voice, the one she was born with before the world tried to rename, Heris, echoing now in the spirit. And where is all of this happening? Beneath the surface, in the unseen, in the quiet spaces where faith always does its best work. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Hebrews 11:1. This is not a performance. This is not about followers, applause, or popularity. She wasn't made to fit into society's molds. She was made to break them. It's not about being seen. It's about being sent. It's not about attention. It's about intention. She doesn't need to be celebrated by the world. She doesn't even need to be understood by everyone around her. What she needs is your agreement, and that's where you come in. Chosen one. Your agreement is not passive. Support it. Is spiritual authority. Your faith in who she truly is creates a field of safety where her soul can flourish. Your belief in her identity allows her to reject the labels others have tried to put on her. You are not simply her parent. You are her anchor. You hold her steady when the winds of doubt try to pull her off course. Think about the way Maya Angelou spoke of her grandmother, who gave her strength without ever needing to explain it. Or the way Barack Obama was shaped by the quiet yet fierce wisdom of his maternal grandmother. These anchors didn't try to shape their children in their own image. They simply held space for the image of God to emerge in them. You, too, were never meant to fix your daughter. You are not here to control her unfolding. Your role is not management. It is recognition. To see her, to truly see her, even when she doesn't yet see herself. And haven't you already begun to see it? Those glimmers of brilliance, the shift in her eyes when she taps into something true, the way she walks into a room and the energy subtly shifts like something sacred just entered, the way she extends empathy that wasn't taught in any textbook, that no classroom could instill. These aren't just personality traits. These aren't quirks. These are spiritual clues. They are signs that the hand of God is active in her life, shaping her with precision, preparing her for a calling that reaches far beyond what you or she could have imagined. For we are God's masterpiece. He has created us anew in Christ Jesus, so we can do the good things He planned for us long ago. Ephesians 2:10. She may not be able to explain what's happening yet, but you can sense it, because your spirits are connected. You're feeling it before it becomes visible. And this is the beauty of divine frequency. It speaks in sensations before it speaks in words. That's why your discernment matters so much in this season. You must tune your spirit to the same wavelength she is now walking into. You'll be able to guide her not by leading, but by listening, not by speaking first, but by creating space. She doesn't need a critic. She needs a witness. Have you noticed how certain things no longer move her? The drama she used to tolerate now repels her. The environments she once fit into now feel foreign. That's because her frequency is elevating. She is growing beyond the shallow spaces that once held her attention. The old atmosphere can no longer contain the woman she is becoming. She is developing the kind of discernment that reveals what's beneath the surface, the kind of sensitivity that others may mislabel as too much, but which heaven calls gifted and chosen one. Do not be discouraged if this season feels lonely for both of you. Elevation often requires separation. Your daughter is not being distancy, is being developed. When eagles mature, they no longer feed the way they did as chicks. They learn to soar, to hunt, to see from higher altitudes. That's what's happening now. She's learning how to see differently, how to hear differently, how to move differently. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. Isaiah 40-31. Remember Lauryn Hill, whose spiritual and artistic transformation pulled her out of the limelight and into a deeper identity, or Malala Yousafzai, who turned her trauma into a movement for global education. Guided by an internal frequency the world didn't understand at first. These women weren't created for the crowd. They were carved out for calling. Your daughter is walking that same path not for fame, but for impact. You may not fully grasp the magnitude of her mission yet, but your spirit recognizes it. That pull in your chest, that holy trembling, that instinct to keep protecting her even when it feels irrational, that is your divine agreement at work. Stay in it. Don't let fear, fatigue, or frustration pull you away. You were chosen for this moment too. You're not just a parent watching a transformation. You are participating in it with your very presence. The Lord will fulfill His purpose for me, your steadfast love, O Lord, endures forever. Psalm 103. So when you see her eyes glaze over during a conversation, don't be annoyed. She may be receiving divine instruction. When she seems quiet in a loud room, I don't assume she's disconnected. She may be spiritually listening. When she withdraws, it's not always rebellion. It could be refinement. You are called not just to raise her, but to recognize her, to call her forth even when others question, to anchor her even when storms form, to believe in her even when she doesn't yet fully believe in herself. The moment has arrived. Chosen one. But this moment is not marked by fireworks or loud announcements. It is quiet, holy, and seismic. What's happening now is not merely an event, it's an unraveling of everything. It false that ever tried to wrap itself around your daughter's identity. Have you felt it coming? The shaking of patterns you once thought were permanent, the soft stirring in your spirit that whispered, "This isn't who she truly is." That whisper was prophecy, and now, prophecy is becoming presence. She will no longer play the roles others assigned her, roles created out of fear, trauma, or the small-minded expectations of a society that never knew what to do with someone so spiritually coded. For years, she may have said yes to things that made her soul whisper no. She may have worn masks that others praised, but that suffocated her. But no more. The divine has issued a release, and she, the version of her that's been dormant, hidden, bruised but not broken, is stepping forward, not from ego, from essence and chosen one. Do you realize why you are part of this? Because she is made of you, not just your DNA, but your decisions, not just your flesh, but your faith. She carries the residue of your obedience. Can you see that now? Every midnight prayer you whispered in exhaustion. Every time you held your tongue instead of lashing back. Every time you resisted the easy way and chose the righteous one. You weren't just surviving, you were sowing. And what you sowed in the dark, she is now reaping in the light. Galatians 6:9 says, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." That time has come, and the harvest is not only in your hands, it's in her becoming. But here's the deeper mystery. There is a version of your daughter that even she has not met yet. Have you seen glimpses of her? The sparkle in her eye when she speaks with conviction, the unwavering peace she carries after she's overcome another silent battle. These are not mere coincidences. These are the early ripples of a divine awakening. Think of Maya Angelou, who survived trauma, silencing, and rejection. Yet her voice became one of the most powerful forces of liberation in modern times. Or Serena Williams, who was once just a little girl with a racket in a world not made for her. Or Malala Yousafzai, who faced death and still rose to lead girls to education with grace. Or Priscilla Shirer, who said yes to God and watched doors open across the world to preach truth. Your daughter carries that same frequency, and you were chosen to go first, to protect the root so she could bear the fruit. Isaiah 58:12 says, "Your people will rebuild the ancient ruins and will raise up the age-old foundations. You will be called repairer of broken walls, restorer of streets with dwellings." Do you see now? You were the repairer, and now she is the restorer. But the world is not ready for this version of her, and that's precisely why she must come. The girl who once second-guessed herself will soon walk into rooms with divine authority. The young woman who used to shrink herself will now expand into her destiny, and in doing so, she will disrupt everything false that tried to define her. Have you asked yourself why it had to be this hard? Why the fire kept returning? Why the attacks came in waves? Especially when it seemed like you were just trying to protect her future. It's because you were birthing something eternal. The devil doesn't fight what he isn't afraid of. And he feared this day, because he knows what happens when a chosen one awakens to her true self. He knows that strongholds fall, systems shake, and silence breaks when daughters of destiny step into their anointing. Ephesians 2:10 reminds us, "For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do." This moment isn't random. It was pre-written. It's not chaos. It's choreography. God is not surprised. He's smiling, and as she walks into her newness, everything around her must shift. Old relationships, the ones built on codependency or comfort, will begin to dissolve. Old fears that once dictated her decisions will start to fade. Old identities she once wore like armor will crumble, not out of failure, but out of divine construction, because God is not destroying her. He's rebuilding her, and this time, she's being built from truth, not trauma. What would happen if you stopped asking, "Is she ready?" and instead started declaring, "She's chosen"? What if instead of fearing the changes, you started blessing them? Instead of clinging to who she was, you started celebrating who she's becoming. You don't need to micromanage her process. You just need to be her mirror. Be the one who sees her clearly, even when the world is blurry. Remember how Denzel Washington once said that his mother prayed over him daily, even when he was lost. That spiritual covering shaped his entire life. Remember Michelle Obama's mother, who quietly guided and protected her through an often hostile world. teaching her grace and grit. Your daughter has someone just as powerful, you, chosen one. What's unfolding tomorrow is not just another calendar day. It's a divine untangling, a sacred unraveling of every false label that dared to define your daughter before heaven had the final say. Can you feel it? This isn't simply a turning point in her life. It's a cosmic correction, a restoration, a sacred undoing of all the narratives that were never written by God, but were scribbled over her destiny by fear, by trauma, by culture, by pressure, and by those who didn't understand her spiritual blueprint. Has she ever looked in the mirror and not fully recognized herself? Has she ever felt like she was living someone else's life, playing roles that deep down never fit her? That unease wasn't just discomfort, it was prophecy rumbling inside her. And now, it's time for her to return to who she was before the world interrupted. Tomorrow is the beginning of her unlearning what was never hers, the beginning of shedding layers that weren't aligned with her soul, the beginning of choosing God's version of her over every broken version this world ever tried to offer. But what does that have to do with you? Chosen one, everything. Because she didn't just inherit your name, she inherited your warfare, your wisdom, your worship. She is not only made of your DNA, she's made of your decisions. And your obedience has echoed into her awakening. Every time you stayed when it was easier to run, heaven took note. When you cried in silence but still got up and spoke life over her future, God wrote it in her foundation. Do you realize that the invisible battles you fought were never just about your survival? They were bricks being laid for her throne. When you refused to let bitterness poison your love, when you forgave those who didn't deserve it, when you sacrificed what was comfortable for what was righteous, all of it was planting seeds. And now those seeds are sprouting, not just in your life, but in hers. What if I told you she is becoming the answer to prayers you didn't even know how to articulate? What if her becoming isn't just a journey, but your spiritual legacy made flesh? In the Timothy Viennas Panke, Paul writes, I am reminded of your sincere faith, which first lived in your grandmother Lois and in your mother Eunice, and I am persuaded now lives in you also. Just like Timothy inherited a lineage of faith, so has your daughter. She is the fruit of your unseen faithfulness. Your yes to God in the dark has paved the way for her to say yes in the light. Take Harriet Tubman, for example. Her legacy didn't begin with a single act of courage, but with years of unseen endurance, deep faith, and spiritual clarity that fueled her actions. The freedom she helped others find was a manifestation of the spiritual freedom she first carved out within herself. Your daughter, like Harriet, is stepping into a freedom that began with your chains being broken. There's a version of your daughter she hasn't met yet, but she will. And when she does, do you know what happens? Everything that isn't aligned with that healed, called, and bold version of her will start to fall away. Some relationships will dissolve, not out of bitterness, but because they were rooted in an identity she no longer carries. Some fears will vanish, not because they're magically gone, but because she finally believes what God says about her more than what her fear has said. Some habits will disappear because they were coping mechanisms for a war that's no longer being fought. Have you ever seen a butterfly emerge and still try to crawl like a caterpillar? That's how the world will try to treat her, like she's still in her cocoon. But you will know better, because you've seen the shifts. You've heard the silence when her soul speaks. You've witnessed the cracks in her shell turn into windows of light, and most of all, you've felt the spirit in her before she even knew how to name it. Romans 8:19 reminds us, For the creation waits in eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed. She is one of those children. Her emergence has cosmic significance. This isn't just personal, it's prophetic. Think of Malala Yousafzai. The world tried to silence her voice before it ever reached its full tone. And yet, purpose refused to be buried. Through pain and pressure, her message emerged louder than ever and changed the world. Just like Malala, your daughter is not here to be safe. She's here to be significant. And what of Maya Angelou? Her early years were marred by silence, trauma, and suffering. But eventually, she met the version of herself that refused to shrink. She met her voice, and that voice gave rise to poems, books, and speeches that have comforted millions, like Maya. Your daughter is rising from ashes into artistry, from history into destiny. In Isaiah 43:19, God says, "See, I am doing a new thing, now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? Can you perceive it now? The shift has already started." Her heart knows. Her spirit feels it. Her soul is listening. She may not be able to describe it yet, but she is already walking into it. Let's talk about Simone Biles for a moment. Despite being the greatest gymnast of all time, she stepped back during the Olympics, not because she lacked strength, but because she knew the power of protecting her peace. That choice changed the narrative around mental health forever. Just like Simone, your daughter will have moments where her strength is in her stillness, and those moments will be just as impactful as her victories. And through it all, you will be there, not fixing, not forcing, but witnessing, speaking life over her, guiding her back to truth when she forgets, being the echo of heaven when her surroundings get loud. Psalm 145:4 declares, "One generation commends your works to another. They tell of your mighty acts, your obedience." Chosen one is now telling stories through her life. She will carry your lessons, your tears, your breakthroughs, your strength, and most importantly, your faith. So when tomorrow comes, don't look for fireworks. Look for fruit. Look for that moment when her eyes carry more clarity. Look for when she says something that feels too wise for her age. Look for when her presence shifts the energy of a space, not because she tries, but because she simply is. This isn't about perfection. It's about permission. God has given her the green light to become, and because of your sacrifice, she's stepping into it with grace and glory. Chosen one. Are you ready to watch her become what heaven has always seen? Are you ready to witness the unveiling of purpose that was born through your pain? Are you ready to celebrate not just what she's doing, but who she's becoming? Because the unraveling has begun, and on the other side of it, a divine masterpiece is emerging, written not by this world, but by the hand of God Himself. You've carried burdens for years that no one ever truly understood. Not even the people closest to you could grasp the weight of the invisible battles you endured. But here's the truth. Heaven saw, and chosen one. God never forgot. You kept walking when your legs felt like they'd collapse beneath you. You kept praying when your faith was whisper thin. You kept loving when your heart was breaking. Have you ever asked yourself how you made it through? How did you not shatter under all that pressure? The answer is simple. Because you were chosen to carry what others couldn't, because your pain had purpose, because your faithfulness was planting something eternal. What if I told you that every sleepless night, every quiet cry, every silent prayer, it was all counted? You never just endured, you pioneered. And now, your faith is being multiplied in ways you never imagined. You're stepping into the season of harvest. And it's not just any harvest, It's the one where your daughter reaps what you sowed in tears. The one where God says, "Well done, the fruit is here." And this time, you don't have to carry it alone. The joy is being returned to you, and what once drained you is now fueling her future. Think about this. Have you noticed her becoming more curious about purpose, more aware of who she is? That's not coincidence. That's prophecy unfolding. You see, God never asked you to be perfect. He asked you to be faithful, and you were. You didn't have all the money, all the connections, all the praise, but you had the heart, and heaven honors heart. 1 Samuel 16-7 reminds us, the Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. And your daughter is about to enter rooms you were never allowed to step into, but it's not because you were denied, it's because you laid the foundation. What if her destiny required your struggle? What if every door that shut in your face was setting the stage for her divine entrance? Let's be real, you didn't fail. You pioneered. And now, both your lives are being upgraded in tandem. As she rises, you'll feel the pressure on your soul begin to ease. Watch closely, even your laughter will return. You'll dream again. Your breath will deepen. Why? Because when generational struggle lifts, it doesn't just set her free, it sets you free too. Let's pause and consider. Have you felt lighter lately? Even if you can't explain why, that's not a fluke. That's legacy doing its work. Your survival was never just about you, and now the ripple effect has begun. This is restoration. Isaías 60:1-3 declares, "To all who mourn, he will give a crown of beauty for ashes, a joyous blessing instead of mourning, festive praise instead of despair." What you thought was just survival was actually sowing, and the reward, it's arriving in both your lives. There will be moments now when your daughter turns to you, maybe without warning, and tells you things she's never said. Receive it with tenderness. She may confide fears, she may reveal shame, confusion, or hidden pain. Don't be startled. These are not signs of weakness, they are the signs of breakthrough. She's unmasking, chosen one. She's not falling apart. She's releasing the debris from past battles you never knew. She fought. Can you hold space for that healing? And here's where your influence becomes divine. She's not looking for a hero. She's looking for truth. Can you guide her with what you do know? And admit what you don't? This is not the time for perfection. It's the time for presence. Proverbs 22:6 tells us, "Train up a child in the way she should go, and when she is old, she will not depart from it." You've already begun this training not with lectures, but with your life. Even when you doubted yourself, she was watching you. When you forgave others without being asked, when you kept going after being betrayed, when you humbled yourself before God, she saw it. And now, that influence is becoming her compass. Do you see how powerful your authenticity is? Take a moment now. Are there words you've held back, regrets you've clung to? You are not too late. Say the words. Release the shame. Forgive yourself. You don't need a perfect history to carry a holy legacy. Romans 8:28 reminds us. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. Every delay, every disappointment, every broken piece it's being used, not one tear has been wasted. And now, let go. Trust the divine motion. The transformation is happening whether you micromanage it or not. Don't hold it all together. Let God hold you both. This is not just a better chapter, it is a holy chapter, a prophetic alignment. and it was always meant for you to witness it firsthand. You've made it to the threshold of something unspeakably beautiful. You've reached the divine moment where pain turns into promise, not just for your child, but for you too. This is the reward of legacy, not watching from a distance, but being restored in the process. Chosen one, you are not a spectator. You are a living altar, and that altar is now radiating glory through the very person you raised. Do you know how powerful it is to witness someone you love step into their divine assignment, especially when it's your daughter? The pride, the peace, the awe, it's overwhelming, and rightly so, because what's happening now is not just natural, it's supernatural. You haven't just been a parent. You've been a gatekeeper of destiny. You've been carrying a spiritual baton passed through bloodlines, and now the torch is being lit in a new flame. Realize this: your daughter is about to become a sign to everyone who mocked her, to everyone who labeled her, to everyone who said she wouldn't make it. They're about to witness the manifestation of everything they tried to bury. But here's the deeper truth. She's not rising to prove them wrong. She's rising to prove God right. This is not a season of validation. This is a season of fulfillment. Think about figures like Serena Williams, who rose from Compton to become the greatest of all time, and now her daughter walks beside her, learning not just tennis, but tenacity. Or Maya Angelou, who broke curses for her descendants with her words. Viola Davis, who reclaimed power for generations of silenced women. Even Michelle Obama, whose elegance and strength now reflect in her daughters, shaping a new era of leadership. You, too, are shaping an era. Your life is the root. Her life is the bloom. She may not fully grasp the magnitude of her assignment yet, but alignment has arrived. And alignment doesn't require understanding, it requires surrender. And she is there. She's changing, isn't she? Her posture, her energy, her confidence. It's not just maturity, it's awakening. You feel it, don't you? She is becoming who she always was, beneath the trauma, beneath the delay, beneath the generational pain. And when that radiance rises, it won't just light her path, it will light yours. And everyone still walking in darkness will feel the glow and begin to believe again. Isaiah 60:1 captures it perfectly. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. This is that moment, not just for her, but for you. Smile, chosen one, not because it's easy, but because it's holy. You didn't miss your moment. You were preparing it, and now it's arrived. Your daughter is rising, and so are you, together, for such a time as this. Chosen one, as you reach the end of this message, let this truth settle deep within your soul. She is not just stepping into destiny, she is becoming destiny for others. Because of your faithfulness, your covering, your consistency in unseen battles, a legacy is being birthed. She will become the very thing she never had: a guide for the forgotten, a comfort for the castaway, and a warrior voice for those who once couldn't speak. And isn't that the kind of transformation God specializes in? This is not coincidence. This is divine orchestration. You were chosen to witness this moment, to walk alongside her spiritual becoming, and to protect the awakening that's been years in the making. Can you feel how holy this timing is? Why now? Why her? Why you? Because this is the appointed time. Because her soil is ready. And so is yours. Because your obedience in the dark has created an inheritance of light. The revelations coming upon her now are not just for her, they're the ripple effect of your prayers, your sacrifices, and your resilience. Remember this: every delay had purpose, every no was protection, every closed door was a corridor to something higher. And now, what God is doing through her will redeem the years that were lost. Joel 2:25 says, "I will restore to you the years that the swarming locust has eaten." And that restoration isn't just personal, it's generational. The healing she walks in will echo through every bloodline that follows her. So thank you truly for staying until the end of this message, for being here in spirit, in love, in witness. This space is sacred because of souls like yours. If you feel led to support this mission and want to donate through Super Thanks, I receive it with deep gratitude. But know this: even if you don't give a single coin, your presence here is already a gift. We honor your time, your spirit, and the weight you've carried in silence. You're seen. And now, may blessings flood your household. May peace find your pillow. May joy locate your bones. May God's favor wrap around your life like a shield, because you've poured out and you've held on. As it is written in Numbers 6:24-26. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. Though your reward is not just in heaven, it's here, it's her, and it's everything that's about to rise from the seeds you sowed in faith. Stay anchored. Chosen one, heaven is proud of you.